that noise. Listen. The shifting. Oh, this is magic. Magic, I tell you. Now it stands for sport, and the first 911S was actually released in 1967, and then the Carrera S was released in 1995. I'm sure you guys remember that one. But today we've got the 2025 version, and it's taken things in pieces from the old GTS. And when I say old, I mean last year's old. Now I know we want to get in the drive really fast, but I want to show you guys a few pieces on the exterior and interior of this 2025 Carrera S. So let's talk about the front of this Cartagena yellow 992. You've got these HD matrix headlights. You have the radar in the front. Moving on the side here, you have a clear side marker. You've got 20s on the front, 21s on the back. This has a staggered setup. These are 245, 35, 20s, and those on the back are 305, 30, 21s. Now on this Cartagena yellow on the side, you will see this has the black package, aka black on the bottom, black on the sides, color matched side mirrors, and that's that. This one does have the rear axle steering, and then moving along the back here, you have this wing that comes up. Everything seems very similar to the last version, the 992 just 2. This does have sport exhaust standard now because people have realized, aka Porsche, that we need to give it standard on all new S's. Morning, morning, here it is. Beautiful 911s. Everybody's getting all set up. So I get this bad boy in the afternoon. Right now, I am jumping into that Cartagena yellow. Welcome to the dream life. This is me in San Diego driving the all-new 2025 Porsche 911 992S. Now, I'm on the highway. It is just so solid. It just feels so good. I mean, all Porsches just get me really excited, and it just like hits the spot. I just passed another Cartagena yellow 992S, one of our other journalists that are here on the American press trip. Anyways, this just feels very solid, very planted, just like the regular Carrera does. But the fact that it's got an S and it has that 10mm lowering damping, and it's got the rear wheel steering, when I whipped onto this highway from the on-ramp, I was like, this thing is sick. So awesome. Now coming in from the passenger side, which has a crazy amount of sun glare, but I will show you. On the back here, this one does have seats in the back. That is a no-cost option. You can actually get it standard with no seats in the back whatsoever. You've got the 911 Carrera S on the sill. These seats are nice, solid, and fancy. They do have leg extensions that come out. This is the passenger side door panel. On the inside here, you will see it's very similar to the regular last year's version. There's no real differences here. You do have the button for sport exhaust if you want it off and on. And there's so much sun glare here, I will go to the driver's side. On the driver's side now, on the door panel, you have 3 increments of heated seats. You've got this 12.6-inch driver display, this 10.9-inch display for everybody else in the car if they care to watch it. On the steering wheel here, this is just all black stitching, but on this one here, over the T, you have the sport response button that gives you 20 seconds of extra jam. On the left side here, you do have your start and stop button, your cruise control, of course your indicator stock, and then this steering wheel does have the carbon all the way around it, which is awesome. There's a ton of race text, which is aka Alcantara, all the way on the top, and on the sides, the A pillar and the B pillar, and all the way back onto the... On the dash here, you see this does have the matte carbon interior package, which matches the steering wheel. This GT heated steering wheel, I might add. And then you can see when you look lower here, you have your sport exhaust button, you've got your vents, and then the center console that's pretty standard like all 911, 991. Now moving on to the dash, you will see a lot of leather surfaces. This has leather on the seats, dashboard, and door panels. There's leather everywhere in this 911S. You can get up to 48 two-tone combinations through Porsche's exclusive manufacturer program. Now moving on to the center of the dash here, this does have the Sport Chrono, a ton of leather on the upper dash, as well as all the door panels, of course the seats, but also on the sides here. This is a ton of leather. This thing has a ton of leather, nothing cheap here whatsoever. This does have the matte carbon interior package that matches this GT heated steering wheel. Now you do have these 5 buttons here, so there are physical buttons. It's not all in the screen. Moving down in the dash here, you do have your HVAC controls, your volume controls, your tuning controls, your shifter now that has this nice little tiny piece. This is not a new feature, but I love this about this new shifter from Porsche. It does have parking brake, your manual transmission, and this is a 911. This is not manual transmission, so you don't get the MT here. That is only available in the T. You've got your heated seats. There are 3 increments on either side. You do have your cup holder, your electromechanical parking brake, more matte carbon, and then over here is, of course, your armrest. And what do you have underneath? You've got wireless chargers and 2 USB-Cs. Pretty cool. On the back here, yes, you do get 4 seats like I talked about. This is only available on the coupe. On the convertible, you're stuck with 4 seats. On the coupe, you have a choice of 2 or 4. Now let's get into the drive. So every ounce in my body is trying to hold back from pinning this accelerator because I'm doing 75 miles an hour and I want to do 175 miles an hour, but I can't. But I can look at these side mirrors and see these huge hips on this thing. These hips are wide. Oh man, it's amazing. Oh, I love this thing. It is sick. Listen. Okay, relax. Relax, relax, relax. Okay, go to normal. So there's 4 drive modes: wet, normal, sport, and sport plus. And when you drive on the highway, you just have to literally leave it in normal, or even wet, because you're just like, boring. But the suspension is soft enough that it's definitely not going to break my back. It's not stiff. It doesn't feel like I can feel every single bump in the road. I can hear it now with the tire a little bit when there's, like, you know, when the asphalt's kind of beat up, but it doesn't break my back whatsoever. If you can just watch my head go up and down as I go through these bumps. It is lofty enough, which is a tough word to use on a 911, but it's lofty enough that you can enjoy the drive while not breaking your back or feeling that you're in a super serious sports car. And that's one of the big things that they talk about in the Carrera S, where you can have it sporty enough if you'd like to opt for those options, or you can get it comfortable enough because you have 2 different suspension options you can pick from. You can pick from the regular suspension or the sport suspension that drops it by 10 millimeters, and then you can opt if you want to get rear wheel steering or not. Now, when you get the 10 millimeter drop, you have to get sport rear wheel steering. Standard comes as a combination. So this stop and start is really good. I simply just lift my foot up slightly and the engine kicks back on. So when I get to a traffic light or a stop sign, the engine shuts off. And then as soon as I tiny lift my leg, like some vehicles, you have to actually take your foot completely off the brake pedal to start, but not this thing. It's just like a tiny smidge up from the brake and the car starts instantly. Now this one has the 84-liter tank. It's a larger tank, obviously because you want to travel more distance, and that's good because I'm heading to the mountains in San Diego here and I need as much fuel as possible. Well, not me specifically, because I am changing cars. I'm going to be in this Cartagena yellow. Okay, I'm going to be this Cartagena yellow coupe, and then I'm going to switch up to the convertible, a blue convertible. So I'm excited about that because I do love top downs, but I love the way 911s look in a coupe. So I'm excited to start this little day off in a coupe and then head out in a convertible later on this afternoon. Now, again, I talked about the S. You can get firmer suspension and soft suspension, but the important part, though, is that you cannot get a manual transmission. I know. You can't get a manual transmission in S. You have to get the T. Now, the T has a lot less sound deadening, stiffer suspension. It's a lot more raw. It's designed to give you that thrill. And I asked the Porsche guys, I'm like, why don't you make this in a manual? Like, everybody was expecting to buy this. Think about this. 35% of all 911 sales are S's. So if 35% of your clientele that buy 911s are looking to get an S and you don't serve in a manual, there must be a reason. And it's because nobody actually buys manuals. The uptake is not heavy. So they wanted to put all their focus in a T to give you, like, you want a manual transmission, you get a T, obviously GT3, but the focus really is the T for manual transmissions, and this is sort of a daily driver. Remember, you can get this with a wood trim. Man, a wood trim. 911, wood trim. It is what it is. So check this out. The 992, now this is a 992.2, so the second version of it. The 992 3/4 of all Carrera S buyers bought the sport exhaust. So you know what Porsche did? They're like, we'll give it to you for free. Yep, this is standard. Now I know you guys are gonna yell because this has a $15,000 difference between last version and this version. So the 992 and the 992.2 S's have almost a $15,000 bump. Now there's a lot to include in that, and we'll talk about that in the video. And I don't want to focus on the fact that this is an expensive car. This is not a cheap car whatsoever. But Porsche's numbers are on absolute fire. They had the best year ever for 911 last year. Ever. So when they have that, they're like, hey, we'll just jack the price out and see at what point do people not buy. It is a supply and demand game. So really they could charge $400,000 if they wanted to if people bought this. And I guess that might happen in 20 years because it's been going up year in, year out. And I don't think these things are going to be affordable for people like me in the future, or for most of you guys watching, because life is expensive. And to that I say, over the last year and a half, most YouTubers that have been doing car reviews have not been getting the reach they had before, and it's mainly because vehicles are so expensive nowadays. Now they are slightly getting cheaper in terms of like the whole, market is getting cheaper, not Porsche, but a lot of other cars are getting cheaper. And maybe it's just because the demand is still heavy for Porsche, and that's why they're not doing it. I put maybe in there, but that's a fact. I also had a conversation with the Porsche guys talking about popularity and coolness. I believe that Porsche is way more cool today than it was 10 years ago. Now, obviously, if you're a Porsche guy, you're gonna be like, Porsche's amazing. It's always been amazing. It's always been a sick car. Yes, but in terms of like social popularity, I think just a million Instagram and Facebook and TikTok videos about the 911, the GT3 RS screaming down canyon roads has really pumped up the influence of what 911s are. And people have actually like looked at it and said, man, that's a sweet car. But in the past, not really. Like 10 years ago, a 911 was like just a finance bro that had some money that wanted a reliable, good-looking sports car. They bought a 911. They were not cool per se. Cool people would buy like Ferraris and Lambos and McLarens. That was cool, and it still is cool today. But Porsche has definitely climbed up the notches in terms of being cool, and that is my argument. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. So this new 992.2 has a brand new engine. It has new engine mounts, and it makes almost the same horsepower as the last generation GTS. So yeah, 30 more horsepower. So you're basically driving a 992 GTS when you buy a 992.2 S. Yeah, which is weird because it's a 0.2, not a whole new version. Well, that's a positive sign. The other thing about it is that it has GTS brakes, the identical brakes that are on the last generation GTS. So if you just bought a GTS and you're like, it cost me this much money, find out what this much money is and compare it against this one, because then you know what you're buying. And if it's worth to buy the last generation GTS or to just buy one of these S's. I have no idea. What do you guys think? So let's talk about price. But briefly, this has a starting price, the coupe, of $148,395, and the convertible, $161,595. And that's all we're gonna say. So the cool part about these DJIs is when I turn, the camera turns. It's awesome. Watch. I'm gonna turn right here and watch this camera turn. This is the most dynamic, look, watch. Turn right, and now I'm gonna turn left, and watch this camera turn. Yes. I love that. Ooh. And those exact numbers are the Carrera does 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, and this one does it in 3.3 seconds. Now those are official Porsche numbers, but then what about 0 to 200? Where's the 2.5 seconds? Well, it does 11.6 to 200 in this, and 14.1 to 200 in the regular Carrera. Those are big numbers. 14 seconds and 11 seconds. I don't know where 2.5 seconds came from, net difference. My math ain't mathin'. So for those that don't know anything about Porsches, they have the best automatic gearbox ever. It's called PDK, and it's a 6-speed gearbox plus 2 extra gears. So it's an 8-speed transmission because the top speed actually happens in 6th gear, not 8th gear, which is weird. It just doesn't make any sense. You've got 8 gears, and the fastest speed is in the 6th gear. Oh, I don't know. Guess what? Don't make sense. So yes, a 911 is a 911 is a 911. They kind of all look almost the same. So what's the deal? What gives? And the gives is customization. You can customize this 911 Carrera S in an insane amount of ways. So you've got 18 different leather options, plus exclusive manufacture options. Then you have 14 standard exterior colors, but then you have 122 paint to sample colors. Yep, 122. And that doesn't even include the exclusive and Sonderwunsch or Sondersunsch, totally botching the words. You can basically pick whatever color you dream of to put on your 911 Carrera S. You have 5 types of wheels, and you have 9 different wheel colors. Yeah. And if you buy a cab, you have 5 different roof colors. And yeah, the fact you can have 2 different suspensions means that you can have 2 different type of buyers, and then 2 million other type of buyers based on exterior colors and choices. So the options are endless. So a 911 is a 911, but the fact that you can buy a 911 and make it specifically yours is what makes the difference. And that is why people buy 911s. And this is why I like them now a lot more than I did in the past. All right, so now I'm in Sport Plus and I have some roads that have corners. It's funny, when you're in a car that drives really well, you want all the corners in the world. When you're in like a boat or like a minivan or a station wagon, you're like, not a station wagon, you're like, no, I don't want turns. You feel sick. But this has so much technology. Come back here. This DJI is just running away with itself. So this has something called PTV Plus. So it applies brakes to the rear wheels as well as using the differential to grip as much as it can on the inside tire, but push on the outside tire to give the car the lateral sideways hook it needs when I'm whipping around these corners. Well, not whipping, but you know, turning around these corners, including using my new Power Steering Plus. No idea what that is, but it sounds cool. Just that noise, listen. The shifting. Oh, this is magic. Magic, I tell you. I'm ready. Are you guys ready? Oh! Porsche has hands down the best launch control system on the planet. No matter what Porsche I drive, just takes you from 0 to 100 real quick. Almost as exciting as getting divorce papers. It is just like passionately, aggressively, emotionally connecting to your soul. It is an amazing, amazing experience to just feel how good Porsches are, not only on the road, but internally, how it makes you feel. Just the noise, the turning, just insane. And I don't know if Porsches were this good, like all along, because I have a 2002 996 911 Turbo, and that vehicle is great, but nothing compared to this. Now I know that's like 25 years old, but in terms of the noise, that noise you get and the instant shifts is just crazy. It's like it's yearning you for more. And I find that even like in owning an R8, and I know that people say it's not a real supercar, but in owning an R8 that was priced the same way as this one does today, that car sounds great as well, but just doesn't give you that, like, that extra that this one does. And it's just not specifically this, it's just this engine. It's just done a great job with it. And yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy because every 911 that I drive, I feel this way. It doesn't matter if it's the base one or the turbo or the Turbo S. It doesn't matter. It just feels amazing through and through. And I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity to drive something this cool with these roads and another Nissan in front of me that's driving really slow. I swear to you, all Nissan owners just drive really slow. The speed limit is 40, 30 is the max they do. All the time. Forever. 40, 30, 40, 30, 40, 30 equals 70. Boom, let's go. So one of the things I wanted to focus on was the braking with these new GTS stolen brakes. And like, it is like on, it's just like, so, okay, here's the deal. There are brakes that are more aggressive, and I've driven cars that have just more aggressive brakes, but those ones kind of just jerk you, and you're not sure if it's too much or too aggressively too much. This is kind of a good balance where it's got a little bit of padding, so I'm like, first pad, and then it brakes, but when it brakes like on or off. Now, if you're curious to know how large these brakes are, if my brain works correctly, I think it's 408 on the front and 330s in the back. That's what my mind told me. Now, it's 16.1 and 15 in the back in terms of like inches and stuff, for those that know that metric. The other interesting part is that this has 20s in the front and 21s on the back. Now, I know it's not a new thing for Porsche to have a staggered setup, but when we think staggered, we actually just think wider. So you have, say, like 285s on the front and 305s on the back in terms of wheel width, but this has actually a smaller rim in the front and a larger rim on the back. Thought that was interesting, and I think that's a unique piece. So you cannot rotate them or mount them in different ways. They're just one rim, one direction, and that's the way it is. Now, interestingly enough, this road had snow on it last week, but it got washed up. So you have all this gravel left on the road, and it hurts my soul to whip through these corners with all this, like, you know, because over here they don't use salt like we do in Canada. They use sand. So that sand is like gushing through the wheel wells, and it just irks me. So I have to drive really slow and carefully until I get to the other side where there is no snow, and then I can whip it. And I'm doing this exact same route in the Cabrio, which I'm more excited about for this specific day because the temperature outside is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I got 2 layers of clothing on me, so it's going to be absolutely perfect. And you can see better outside from your TV screen than you can right now staring at my face. D's face. D face. So if you've owned a GTS in the past and you're thinking, you know what, I love the GTS, but it's just a little bit too firm for me, well, then your answer is this. This is what you need to buy. This is the car for you. I will turn left in a second, madam, but I'm telling people that the GTS of old is the Carrera S of new. And that's important to note because as we get older, we want something a little bit more comfortable, but then also the choice to flip a switch and make it more firm. So let me know in the comments, would you buy the new 992.2S or the 992.1 GTS? Interested to find out. Thanks for joining me here in San Diego, and thanks to Porsche for bringing me all the way out here in class to drive the all-new Carrera S. Catch you on the next one, and thanks for your support.